I had hit rock bottom, or so I thought. I moved to the city thinking I could finally live a normal life. But what awaited me was a marriage where I was nothing more than a servant, completely obedient to a worthless man. That was my wake up call. I can't go on like this. I need to change. My name is Lily. I'm 28. I spend my days watching TV in a condo in New York. You might think I'm living the life, but it's far from enjoyable. It feels like I'm trapped in a prison without bars. My husband, Frederick, comes into this room every 2 or 3 days. He shows up unannounced, like it's some kind of surprise inspection. If I'm not here when he arrives, he loses it. Do you want a divorce? Because I can give you one. He becomes uncontrollable, shouting and screaming. So I can't leave this place. How did I end up like this? No, I know why. Running away into marriage was a mistake. I was born in Eureka, Orange County, California. My father ran a construction company. I was the only daughter of the CEO, raised without a care in the world. I was a good student, and people had high expectations for me. But when I was in ninth grade, the recession hit, and the company went under. To make matters worse, a business my father's best friend was involved in also failed. My father, who was a co-signer, ended up with a mountain of debt. He sold our land and house to pay it off, but the debt remained. Eventually, my father's health deteriorated due to stress, and he passed away. Soon after, my mother fell seriously ill and followed him. I didn't want to stay in my hometown, so I moved to the city. For the next 2 years, I got by with day jobs. You have such fair skin. You'll definitely be popular. No doubt about it. That's when I was scouted and entered the world of nightlife. Of course, at first, I didn't get any clients. I learned the ropes from my seniors, figuring out how to handle customers. Working in a hostess club was far from easy. There was hazing, quotas for companionship and requests, and even fines for not meeting those quotas. My life and skin were a mess due to the irregular hours and alcohol. That's when Frederick walked into the club. He was the CEO of a web consulting venture. An elite among elites, he had started his business while still in college. At the time, he was doing really well, expanding his business at an incredible pace. But he was despised by all the hostesses at the club. He would constantly insult us while we were serving him. You're working in a hostess club with those looks? It must be nice, being able to work even if you're not that smart. Marilyn from the club next door is way better looking than you. Most of the hostesses at our club took great pride in their appearance. Being assigned to Frederick meant having your pride shattered, so everyone avoided him. On top of everything, I was saddled with my parents' debt, and my life was at a dead end. I had nothing to lose. Maybe it was my genuine personality, but Frederick started to request me. Talking to you makes me realize how human I am, he'd say. But I had low self-esteem to begin with, so I didn't mind being treated poorly. Then, one day, Frederick asked me to accompany him and dropped this bombshell. Do you want to marry me? What? Why would you ask that? I was taken aback by his sudden proposal. There was no way I could develop romantic feelings for a man like Frederick, who seemed to wear his misogyny like a suit. And Frederick wasn't the type to long for a happy home or a comforting space. Was he thinking about children? Preparing for business succession, perhaps? But if that were the case, he would have just told me to have his child. I was really confused. Then Frederick said, Look, I have my reputation and social standing to consider. Ah, I see. People look down on me for being single. It's a hassle. So, being married would be advantageous for your business?
You get it. So what do you say? I'll support you and even buy you a high-rise condo.
I couldn't answer right away. Is it okay to marry for business reasons? Would I regret it?
How about I pay off your debt? What do you say?
Honestly, that was the clincher. If marriage could give me money and freedom, then who cares about the partner or the reason? This is my chance. I'll seize it and reclaim my life. That's how I convinced myself to agree to marry Frederick. It didn't take long to realize that this was a huge mistake. Frederick, who was already dismissive, became even worse after we got married. He usually lives elsewhere and shows up every 2 or 3 days.
When I come over during the day, ask me if I want to eat. Don't you have any common sense? Didn't I tell you not to skip cleaning? This is my room that I'm renting. Hey, we're out of wine. Go buy a bottle of red and white right now.
I was essentially a slave or a servant, even though I was given the title of a housewife. I had anticipated this, but it felt even worse than I had imagined. Of course, when I asked for better treatment, he wouldn't listen. Whenever we argued, he'd threaten me with divorce to make me back down.
Look at this.
It was a divorce application form. He had apparently gone to the courthouse to get it.
Why don't you stamp it too? That way, it's ready whenever something happens.
In response, I would often retort, "Sure, why not? Shall I file it the next time I'm out?" Each time, Frederick would give me a cold stare. By this point, I was seriously considering divorcing Frederick every single day. There were 2 reasons. One, I was treated less than human. The other was that Frederick's once thriving business seemed to be faltering. He was increasingly irritable. The number of times he invited business associates to this room had significantly decreased. Also, there were now limits on the money I could spend each month, and I was being asked to economize.
Don't buy anything unnecessary, got it? I'll cancel your card in a heartbeat.
And the icing on the cake? Frederick started using me to cut labor costs. He dumped data from his company onto my personal computer.
Input this data. I'm going to take a nap. Finish it in 3 hours.
He was pushing part of his company's work onto me, who wasn't even an employee. The tasks didn't stop at data entry. The volume and complexity of the work escalated. I even found myself preparing presentation materials for other companies and managing budgets and performance. One time, a man claiming to be Mr. Pratt, a department head at the company, called me.
The boss told me to contact his secretary, so...
Secretary? Is that how I'm being treated at the company? When I clarified that I was actually his wife, Mr. Pratt was very apologetic. From then on, Mr. Pratt and I started sharing information over the phone. According to him, many people were quitting Frederick's company. Frederick's personal flaws were becoming more apparent as the company's performance worsened.
He constantly berates and belittles his subordinates.
I can imagine. I'm sorry you have to deal with that.
The company's on the brink of collapse.
That afternoon, when Frederick stormed into the room, he was already fuming.
Everyone's defying me. Hey, bring me some booze.
Drinking in the afternoon might not be the best idea.
Just shut up and bring it. You're so useless.
Well, we don't have any alcohol in stock.
What?
You told me not to buy anything unnecessary. We're out of booze.
Then go buy some now, or else it's divorce.
Here we go again. I let out an exaggerated sigh. Fine, let's divorce. The paperwork has already been filed anyway.
What? You filed it?
Didn't I tell you I would? I said I'd file it the next time I was out. As I calmly responded, Frederick trembled with rage.
Fine, I don't care about the past. Just get out.
I was planning to. Thanks for everything. I had been preparing my belongings for days. Some items were already shipped out. I bowed to a red-faced, furious Frederick and quickly left the room. From a high-rise condo in New York to a 40-year-old apartment, my standard of living plummeted, but my joy was immeasurable. I can restart my life from here. No more restrictions from anyone. First, I contacted Mr. Pratt, one of my allies. Hello?
Hello, are you okay? Did you manage to get out safely?
Yes, I'm fine. Looking forward to working with you. I already received an email from Mr. Pratt about a new business plan. The business we are planning to develop is a type of matching service. We're planning to launch a type of matching service focused on night work. Drawing on my experience in the field, we aim to create a more user-friendly system. I've already gained experience in business simulations through the work Frederick had me do. I was excited for the new life that starts tomorrow. 5 years had passed since I divorced Frederick and started a new venture with Mr. Pratt. I was overseeing the move to our expanding company's new office when I spotted a familiar face among the movers.
No way! Is that you?
Among the moving workers wearing matching work clothes, I saw a familiar face. Frederick, is that you? Long time no see. He looked worn and different, but it was unmistakably Frederick. He seemed to have noticed me first and looked uncomfortable. Why are you working as a mover?
Could you... Not right now. I'm working.
Ignoring Frederick's reluctance, I pressed him for what had happened since we parted ways. His company had gone bankrupt due to excessive debt and a high turnover rate. The number of people quitting increased, and it was a big cause that the company stopped turning around. I'm sorry to hear that.
Why are you sorry?
Because Mr. Pratt and I may have had a hand in encouraging your employees to leave. In truth, Mr. Pratt and I had been conspiring to start a new business at that time. We actively recruited those who wanted to quit and made them our allies. More than half of my current employees were from Frederick's company. Hearing this, a flash of his old intensity returned to Frederick's eyes.
You backstabbing!
Don't be dramatic. You brought this on yourself.
Me?
You mismanaged the company and didn't care for your employees. Mr. Pratt and the others just wanted a better work environment. Blaming traitors when you didn't manage well is laughable. No company can survive without good people, and Frederick never valued his. I think it's only natural that everyone left Frederick. I'll continue to use your company as a cautionary tale.
Do whatever you want.
I continue to watch Frederick, now a mover, work hard and sweat. The man who once looked down on me had fallen so far. Life is unpredictable, I thought. Frederick's life continued to be miserable. He tried to start new ventures multiple times, but failed each time. He was abandoned by business partners and even swindled out of money. I have been asked for money several times. He even begs me for money over the phone.
Could you help me out a little?
If I help you once, you'll keep coming back.
It'll be just this once, I promise. I won't bother you again.
People change, I thought. The man who once belittled me was now begging. Talking to you reminds me how human I am.
I don't know what to say, Lily. Please.
I have no intention of lending you money. Please look elsewhere. I hung up the phone without hesitation. Since then, I've had no contact with Frederick. I later heard that he fled to Oregon to escape debt collectors. His attempts at running a business never succeeded again. He's apparently making ends meet by doing odd jobs and collecting empty cans. Collecting cans? Frederick?
I couldn't believe it either, but it's true.
Mr. Pratt, who happened to be on a business trip in Oregon, saw it with his own eyes and even took a photo. I looked at the image on Mr. Pratt's smartphone. Frederick was on a bike. wearing a grungy tracksuit and jacket. Bags full of empty cans were piled high on both the front and back of the bike. No doubt he was exchanging these for cash to survive. It's really sad, isn't it?
Absolutely, but he brought it on himself. He never valued people.
I agreed with Mr. Pratt. Frederick never valued the people around him. People are sustained by the support of others, something he never considered. He pushed people away by belittling them and using harsh words, even his own wife. As a result, he lost his company, his relationships, and now he's collecting cans. His current life says it all. It's all self-inflicted. I hope he continues to collect as many cans as possible, all while regretting his actions.